In March 2026, a company in Alberta, Canada submitted a proposal. They wanted to build what they called Canada's largest AI data center complex, a 1.4 gigawatt natural gas power plant, $10 billion in total investment. The regulator opened the application and found that the environmental report still had track changes turned on. The application was rejected. You could read this as a joke. A company losing a $10 billion project because someone forgot to finalize a Word document. But I think this detail is actually a magnifying glass, one that reveals three very real problems facing AI infrastructure construction around the world. Let's start with the problem that gets the least attention: permits. The global demand for AI data centers is real. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, combined, they've spent over $300 billion in capital expenditure over the past 2 years, most of it flowing toward data centers and power infrastructure. But money isn't the hard part. Approvals are. In the United States, a large-scale data center can take 3 to 5 years from site selection to groundbreaking. In Europe, environmental assessments, grid connection reviews, and community hearings can each stall a project for years. Ireland has imposed effective moratoriums on new data centers. Amsterdam froze new applications back in 2019. So what does the Alberta case actually tell us? Even in a region with relatively light regulation, a province actively trying to attract AI investment, a poorly prepared application gets stopped at the very first gate. Regulatory barriers aren't the enemy of AI. They are the entry FE for AI infrastructure. The cost of doing this seriously, and a lot of the players in this space haven't figured that out yet. Here's what Synapse left out of their application: 600 backup diesel generators. That's not a typo. 600 generators, each rated at 2.6 megawatts. Simply not mentioned in the key project information package. This is not a small oversight, it's a signal. Developers with a real execution capability don't submit a $10 billion application with a draft environmental report. They don't omit 600 generators. They don't start community consultations 14 days before the filing deadline. This connects directly to how Warren Buffett thinks about businesses. Before he analyzes an industry, he asks a simpler question: can this management team actually do what they say they're going to do? The AI infrastructure boom is creating an illusion that anyone with enough capital can build a data center. The reality is that the moat in this industry is built from exactly the things that sound boring: land negotiations, grid interconnection agreements, environmental compliance, community relations, long-term operating licenses. Very few companies can execute all of this well. And right now, the market is pricing most AI infrastructure stories roughly the same. That divergence will eventually be corrected by reality. The question is when. Now for the deepest problem, the one that doesn't have a clean solution. The smarter AI gets, the more power it needs. A single GPT-4 query consumes roughly 10 times the electricity of a Google search. Global AI data center power demand is projected to reach 3 to 4% of total world electricity consumption by 2030. In 2022, it was around 1%. Where does that power come from? Alberta's Bring Your Own Power policy is essentially the grid saying, we don't have spare capacity for you. Figure it out yourself. And this logic is spreading globally. The PJM grid in the eastern United States, one of the largest in the world, now has a queue for new connections that stretches beyond 5 years. The UK's national grid has hundreds of projects waiting in backlog. So you get a strange situation. AI companies publicly commit to clean energy targets, while quietly building natural gas plants, reopening nuclear facilities, and in some cases discussing the return of coal. Microsoft signed a deal to purchase power from 3 Mile Island, the site of America's most famous nuclear accident. Google secured a fossil fuel exemption for a data center in Belgium. The intelligence of AI is accelerating. The energy infrastructure supporting it is moving at the pace of the last century. That gap is real, and there's no simple answer. Let's come back to that environmental report with track changes still turned on. It's a reminder that the AI infrastructure race isn't just a computing race. It's a regulatory race, an execution race, an energy strategy race. And I want to leave you with 3 questions to sit with. First, when permitting and approvals become the real bottleneck, Which builders actually win? And are those the companies getting the most attention today? Second, if execution capability is the true moat, does the market's current pricing actually reflect that? Or is it still rewarding the storytellers? Third, the tension between AI's explosive energy demand and humanity's clean energy commitments. How does that resolve? Who compromises and who pays the cost? No standard answers here. But I'd argue that how those three questions play out will shape the long-term trajectory of this industry far more than any quarterly earnings report. Think about it. This video is produced for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial or investment advice.